This is the Creative Download, hosted by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Nettleton. Created by creatives to inspire and encourage others to live in the fullness of their creativity. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the Creative Download. So excited that we're into our second season. We're having so much fun. And we have a fantastic guest with us today. We'll introduce him. Well, I'll tell you his name, Dave Hill Jr. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
We'll tell you a little bit about him in just a little bit. But I am Chelsea Nettleton. I'm a singer-songwriter. For those of you guys who haven't been here, singer-songwriter, budding music producer, photographer, videographer, and miniatures maker. For those of you guys that are on watching on YouTube, I had to share that because I told you guys I would share some stuff that I've been playing with. That's my little happy zone.
Right.
What about you, Christy?
Well, and I'm Christy Bruneau. I'm also a singer-songwriter. I'm a dancer, budding TV series writer, which Chelsea and I are working on a TV series. And I'm a realtor in my real life. I do real estate so I can fund my music, and fund my creativity. And I'm so excited to hear about Dave. So Dave, tell us who you are.
Yeah, thanks. Both Chelsea and Christy, great to meet you. I'm Dave Hill Jr. I'm living in the Pacific Northwest. I'm also a singer-songwriter of recent. I started in my 50s writing songs, but I've been a drummer for like a bazillion years. And I'm also an author, and I'm a former tech, music technology executive. And I also do a lot of coaching and coaching workshops. And we met at the Production Music Conference when I was giving a talk there, kind of a motivational, here's how to do conferences differently type of kickoff talk there. So I do that sort of work now too.
Yeah, and that was very cool. We loved that. I remember Christy and I both ran out of the room to talk to you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, we hit it off, and I'm so glad my message resonated. So
it's our first time at the Production Music Conference.
Me too.
And
you too. That was your first one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was, we were talking all about imposter syndrome on the way there because we were both kind of freaking out.
Right.
Like, no, do they want songwriters? These are all producers, and we're not composers. Like, I don't do film,
All these labels, right?
All this stuff in our head. And I think I told you, and we talked about this just on our last podcast, but, we listened to the Elton John and Brandi Carlile talk on Smartless and how he talked about having so much self-doubt, and we were like, oh my God, this is amazing.
And Elton John has self-doubt.
And we get there, and all of a sudden the first, it was so relieving to me. I mean, I think you too, Chelsea, like that. The opening person, you kicked off the whole Production Music Conference with, hey, we all have self-doubt, be kind to yourself. I mean, it was just like, oh, thank you so much. Like, it was so helpful for us. So
I'm so happy
I think it was
to hear that. Yeah.
That
was the idea. Mm-hmm.
I think it was like the third thing that had happened regarding doubt. Both of us as we were getting ready to come on this trip and then starting into the conference. So we're like, and there's something about threes. Christy and I've talked about that. When something happens in threes, it's like, okay, pay attention.
Pay attention.
Right. Something's trying to get my attention here. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thinking behind the talk. Was I wanted to go to the conference, and I was talking with the folks at Production Music Association, and I said, hey, I'd love to come and do a self-doubt workshop. I do these at different music events, and I did one at the NAMM show last year. I'll be at the NAMM show again this year.
Oh, good.
And they're really I feel like self-doubt's the thing that, in a way, it's behind a lot of the topics in other panels, but we don't quite say it. We're kind of like, oh, here we tend to focus on tactics, like, oh, here's how to mix better, or here's how to, here's the plugins that you need, or whatever. But we don't kind of get into like, do you really need any plugins? Like, what's fueling that, And so I started talking with the folks there, and they said, why don't you, instead of doing a workshop, why don't you just kick off the whole conference with a kind of a mindset shift, so that we can all think a little differently about how we are at the conference, and maybe weave in a little bit of self-doubt, but also talking about mindset. And so that's how the talk was born. And that was the first time I've done that talk for sure. But it seemed to resonate with a lot of people. I've got a lot of great feedback. So.
Oh, yes. I mean,
I would not have known that's the first time
No.
that you did that, because you
Yeah.
just seemed,
Oh, thanks.
seemed very
Thanks.
natural, seemed very like,
Well,
so well done.
I have a, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not easy for me, honestly. People are surprised sometimes when I talk about, oh, I have self-doubt, and they're like, you're tall and you were this executive, the VP of marketing and sales, and I've, done all these things, but it's like, yeah, but it's, man, I have to work on it. I do all my prep that morning, and I do my breath work, and I do my 30-second cold shower, and all the things I need to do to get in my body and not have my self-doubt going crazy before I do something like that. Cause I have to be ready, and I have my notes and things, and a lot of times you don't even need all that, but it's like by going through the prep, you have more confidence in being able to execute. And so, but yeah, that's all the stuff I've learned on my journey when, writing that book was really my own self-catharsis around my own self-doubt that I was learning about. And then I just kind of wrote about it in real time. It was started as a journal entry and it became a book. So
which I love that about your book. It's very much comes across that way. I'm a journaler. I write I write every morning, but I really got that. And I really got that out of your presentation, and it was very connecting, right? So when you, like, you talk about getting into your body, when I've experienced, like, when I get into my body and I can really be there, and then I can speak to people, it allows other people to do the same. And it's because we are all so connected anyways, right? Yeah. And so it really set the tone at that conference for, I don't know, it was just really, I really appreciate you doing that. So
thanks so much.
It really set, like, gave me, and to know, like, when you're saying, when people are thinking like, oh, you have self-doubt, you have all of these things that you've done, like, everybody has it. That was our big lesson in the car on the way there.
Elton
Hanks,
yeah, Tom Hanks.
The list goes on and on.
I love that quote. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to dive into your book.
Okay, sure.
Because we're both loving it, but
cool. We like to talk about what we're working on, because
we always love to kind of
do that.
Yeah, I was thinking we'd start with, we won't put you on the spot. You can
miniatures are so cool. I want to hear more about this.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I guess I can start that with so what I'm working on right now. I'm actually with the miniatures. I'm working on making a little I want to make a little, like, Christmas scene, like a holiday scene with all my miniatures, and then actually take a photo of it, and then it'll be like Christmas card, or or content, whatever, just fun stuff. So that's my kind of my little, like, play world. I don't even know why I put that disclaimer on it, because it's like, it doesn't have to be play. It's just something fun.
We don't need a reason. Right.
I giggle every time I look at my little, I put them down here. I'm like, I look at my little snowman, they make me happy. So
exactly.
Right. But as far as, like, what I'm working on long term, I've got a couple songs that they're really close to being ready to pitch. Trying to get them.
I'm so excited about these songs.
Thanks, Christy. Yeah, she's heard them.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah, I submitted one of them to a listening session the other day that went a lot better than I thought.
Okay.
Because we always come back to your book. I was dealing with the self-doubt really bad. And I even
you had a noisy passenger.
The noisy passenger, which I can't wait to tell you the name. I have two names.
We've done some of the work.
We've done some of the work. And
gold stars, both of you. Yes.
For those of you guys who are listening, that's part of what he talks about in his book, is naming your doubt. So we'll get into that. But so I'm really excited about both of these, because I should have just trusted my gut that these are the types I want to do. They're two different genres, and they're both the kind of thing I want to do. Yeah. So I'm excited because they feel really close. So those are great. Those should be within the next couple months, I'm hoping.
Okay. 2 new songs.
Yeah. So okay. Dave, what about you? What are you working on creatively?
I tend to have 20 things going at once a little bit. It's part of my part of my self-doubt things. It's like, I'll work on this a little bit. That's not going so well, so I'll work on that. But my goal is to release 1 song a month, and until I do 100 songs, and then at some point I want to reevaluate. So I've done like 20 now.
Wow.
And although I have not released a song in October, so I fail also sometimes. So so I have a bunch of stuff that's written and at various stages. One's sitting with a guy who's mixing it for me. So it's done in my, but we have to do all the dressing. So yeah, so I've got maybe a nice tie-in. So today, after we're done, I'll be singing the vocals on a song called "Doubt Riding Shotgun" that I co-wrote with a guy that I met, a guy named Jeff Harris that I met at a songwriting retreat. I went to this retreat by Andrea Stolpe.
Oh yeah.
And we wrote a lot of songs with other people. And I gave him a copy of my book. He was talking about self-doubt, and I said, "Here you go." And he said, "Hey, I wrote a song on doubt riding shotgun," and he sent it to me. And he said, "But do you want to collaborate on it?" And so so I took it and I wrote a bunch of new words and melodies and stuff. And so I'm singing that this afternoon and I played drums on it yesterday, and I'm going to send that to him. Cool. And so that's a new one that's coming. Probably so by the time this gets out, it'll probably be about a month, probably till it's out. Yeah. But that's kind of, I never thought I would write a song called "Doubt Riding Shotgun." That was his idea, which I was really thankful to have. And and then I have a bunch of other material I'm working on, and constantly, various stages, touching in on songs and just trying to focus on it. And I guess the other thing I should say is I'm doing more and more self-doubt workshops and different types of speaking where I'm a coach and I like the one-on-one coaching, but I find that I really like the group environments even more, because I think people, as you witnessed in the conference, when I call out to the audience and I get people voicing things, I think you both participated about imposter syndrome, or people start to say what's on their mind. And I think there's so much power in the group hearing the other answers, and we start to realize that we're not alone as we think we are, not as alone, right?
Yeah.
So I really like the group work. So I'm doing more of that, and I've got I'm going to do the NAMM show again this year, and I host some different events that are coming up. But I've got it's always open to that. So for people that are listening, if they're looking for someone, I would say that's definitely reach out if you're thinking about some sort of talk like this.
Yes.
For those that don't know, including myself, what's the NAMM show?
Oh, the NAMM show. I think it's North American Music Merchandisers. It's an old trade show that's been going on since the 60s, I believe. And it's about 150,000, 110, 150,000 people or something. It's pretty huge. It's in Anaheim. And it's really all the music instrument companies. So it's like, Fender guitars and Roland. And all the drum makers and all this music software. So when I was at Ableton, I worked at Ableton early on, and we used to have a booth there at the NAMM show, and I would talk to all the people curious to learn about Ableton. And then when I was at Isotope, same thing. We had a booth there. So I've gone to like 20 NAMM shows. Wow. But in the last couple of years, I started to speak at them and do more like kind of the type of work I'm doing now, which is around coaching and helping people, creative empowerment, and helping, people get their voices in the world more easily and with less pain, hopefully.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
Important. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. I do think so too. I think
that's very important.
Yeah, I think it can save lives. But should I? Enough about me, Christy. Christy,
what are you working on?
What are you working on? Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'm working on a song, but here's the thing. And this is going to go into the to the book a little bit, because so there's two things I'm trying to stay focused on, just two things. This TV series we're writing.
Okay.
We have been given some suggestions, and we have an outline that we're working on. And so I'm really trying to stay focused on these two things, and then finishing a song. And the song is very personal. And so I'm having trouble, right? So, but here's the thing, and this is what I think will launch us into your book. One of the things, because all week I've been like, okay, because I listened to your book on the on my walks. I walk every morning.
Audiobook? Oh, great.
I was listening, and then I kind of have gone through. And so one of the voices I have, I have a chorus of doubters.
That's common. That's very common.
Yeah, I have a chorus. Yes, I have a bus. It's like not just shotgun. I got a shotgun, and then I got the bus in the back.
The way back seat. Yeah.
The hurry up. You got to get this done. And so what I'm working on is the let it come as opposed to making it happen with the song.
Okay.
And so, it's working. It's actually working. But my hurry up voice is really causing me some problems, right? Because it's like I want to put myself on a timeline with sync, right? So I've kind of switched over from like having been an artist in my past to like I really love this sync lane. I'm like so
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah. Right.
And there's a lot of people that are able to do it really fast, or they're like, oh, you got to get your workflow going. And so my hurrier just has been like, okay, get your workflow going. But the songs aren't, when they're not right, I know it. Like I have a good knowingness, and I know it's not right, and I want to let it come. And so it's like, and I have a little bit of process to do that, and it's usually distracting myself from the being in the booth of singing it, or on the computer. It's usually having to do other things, and then all of a sudden the song shows up in my head.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And so that's what I'm working on. I'm really working on, especially with this song I'm working on right now, to let the song download, which we call this the creative download, right? I really believe we get our ideas from some creative force, whatever the force, and to let it happen. And so today, I'm like driving, and it's almost always when I'm driving in my car, doing my dishes.
Very common, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I've written so many car songs at stoplights.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness for voice memo, right? It's like,
and all the way, I was just going to, run an errand. The whole way I have my voice recorder on my phone. Thank God we have those. We didn't have those when I was earlier on in the 90s, playing, and I sang the whole song now the way I think it should go. Well, but I also have two co-writers. So then that's the next process of like presenting it to them, because it's different than the way that we were originally writing it. So, so there's a lot. I'm kind of working on a lot of things and a lot of things in a way that are really kind of allowing the doubt chorus to rise. Right?
Yeah.
So
let's dive into vulnerable work. So I hear you're doing, so like, so coaching wise, so like the questions I like to ask in that scenario, what you just presented, Christy, which is beautiful picture. I can totally imagine this chorus of doubt voices. It's like, so if we take the hurrier voice, we'd say like, so what is the hurrier voice really saying? Like, I talked a little bit about the guardrails, right? Or the rumble strips on the freeway. So trying to keep you in your lane. So if the hurrier voice is sort of saying, you've got to hurry. So what's the why? What's the motivation for this character?
Well, I did write about this morning.
Okay, good.
Because I'm a writer, so I loved it. You give so many good instructions on like how to kind of walk through it. So I did write about it, and it really is this voice. And I know a lot of it I get from, it's not from me, it's from what we pick up in society, or we pick up.
You're right, sure.
Family,
we pick up other people's doubts. We don't even, we might be feeling good, and all of a sudden we're like, now, oh, someone asked me this or gave me feedback, and now I have doubt, and I didn't, thanks.
Yeah.
So what is the hurrier?
Then I'm going to miss the opportunity.
Okay, so if you don't hurry, you're going to miss the opportunity.
I'm going to miss
keep going with that. So keep
going.
I'm
going to be too late.
You'll be too late. And and then what will happen?
Well, then I just will not be able to do it. I won't be able to do it. I'll be cut out.
You'll be cut out.
I'm not like everything's going to move past me so fast that that I'm just going to miss the boat. I'm going to miss the boat.
Yeah. So that's, so as the metaphor works, so doubt writing, so that's your passenger is saying that you're going to miss the boat, Christy. If you don't hurry and get this done, you're going to miss it, and you won't get to do the fun things you want to do. Right. Now we switch over to the driver, you, for a minute.
Yes.
And how true does that feel to you?
Well, this is where I sound like a crazy lady in my house. So like, because that person in me knows like, okay, it's okay. Like I have to walk myself through that. No,
exactly.
Don't have to hurry. Like you are letting it come as you let what's supposed to, I mean, this happens with Chelsea and I in our writing, the TV series. This goes on actually a lot with the TV series because, and I love Elizabeth Gilbert, but she's kind of she adds to my hurrier in this one thing that she says in Big Magic, which we talk about her a lot, that if you don't respond to the call, right? And the creative call, like, okay, you got to write this, that somebody else will write it. That's like the real thing. Like somebody else is going to do this song and they're going to do it better. And so I have to remind myself, no, like I have a saying that I've picked up over the last few years that I have a place to fill that no one else can fill.
Yeah,
In this
beautiful.
life,
Right.
I have a place to fill that no one else can fill. And it's not
And
mine.
those
It's like,
little, I like to call them mantras, but like those little
yes.
mantras are like ways to self-soothe. They're like a song in a way. But it's like, okay,
Yes.
I now see that, okay, I hear your self-doubt voice that you say, I'm going to miss out and I got to hurry, I got to hurry. But I know my bigger truth, my bigger uh mantra, my wisdom, my if I bring the full force of myself here, no, I actually am okay. Thank you. Thanks for the information. Thanks for your opinion. You just sit over there and eat a snack or something, and I'm going to keep driving. But it's
I'm gonna
like that,
give
and
you
it
your
takes
goldfish.
it's hard, easier said than done. But it's like I do
Yes.
think like sitting. I like the both and that we can sit with both. I
Yeah.
can hear this self doubt. Okay, I got it. Yep, but not right now. Thanks.
Right.
Got it. And you're just kind of like, gotta, but if you just try to deny it and just like the Nike slogan, just do it. And I talk about this in the book. It's like, just do it isn't enough for a lot. It's like, okay, then I'm scared and I don't feel good. I'm just going to write this song anyway. And I'm going to hurry it. It's like, no, it's like, that's not, there's a reason there's a tension there between the two of you, because it's like you're feeling one way that is true also, and doubt has their opinion, and self-doubt is, it's really this constructed voice that we've created over many many years, probably even generations, that's
Yes.
made us survive and helped us, and helps us be fit into the tribe
Yeah.
properly, but
Right.
it's not always right. It's just one paranoid voice we have, and we have many, it's like,
Yeah.
We have
and
many.
they're trying to help you. They're trying to protect you.
Yeah.
But if we can recognize them and give them credit for that, I find it goes a lot better than if we just deny.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's I think that's the biggest thing that I've taken
Mhm.
away from your book. I mean,
Mhm.
there's been so many things, and I'm going to read through it
Here's
again
the
to
book,
get.
just in
Oh
case
yeah.
anybody's
Oh
Thank you.
yeah. I think
Here's
we
the
didn't. Yeah. So Doubt Writing Shotgun. Christy and I are good students. We both have our books.
Awesome.
And
Thank
I
you.
still have it.
So
We still have them signed by you.
gold star,
Um,
gold stars already.
but
Yeah.
yeah. That's probably one of the biggest things. Yeah, and what's funny is there were so many things that would stop me during times when I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and read, and I just kept getting so many things. And Christy and I both have talked about that before, where it's like a lot of times the things that you're supposed to be doing end up getting distracted. Like things just pop up where it's like, okay, I'm really supposed to be reading this book because things keep trying to distract me from it, and
I see.
it's interesting because one of the things that I kind of kept reading one of the same sections again because I either got so distracted that I forgot to put my bookmark back in. Well, the thing that keeps coming up, and then I kind of have read through a couple times now, is acknowledging your doubt, like what you just described. Like instead of trying to just deny it and be like, no, I don't hear you, you're not there,
Yeah.
da 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 da. Like being like, okay, I appreciate you. Thank you for trying to protect me in some way.
Mhm.
I've got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I
Right. Exactly.
love
Thanking
that.
your doubt. Thanking your doubt is a
Yes.
nice move, I think.
And
You know.
it was interesting because I've been researching a lot about ADHD.
Mhm.
Long story
Clearly.
short, yeah,
Mhm.
because I
Yeah.
deal with that. I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And so which is funny because I just kind of derailed myself a little bit, but there is an
Okay.
overlap there
Yeah.
with oh shoot, what was you had just said something that you were just talking about. Shoot. Well, I'm sure it'll
And
come. We
well,
won't.
about accepting your or listening to your doubt. We're talking about listening to your doubt, the many
Just
voices.
before that.
Mm.
I'll probably with
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no
good
problem.
old ADHD fashion. I'll probably
Yeah, no,
remember about
absolutely. Yeah.
halfway
No,
through the.
I was, diagnosed ADD back in the 70s. They wanted to put me on Ritalin.
Yeah.
My
Oof.
mom
Yeah.
said no and read some book
too.
that said, and we would have coffee breaks. So my mom, I was like 6 and we would have coffee together.
Nice.
Nice.
I guess, it was
Yeah.
it was the way she dealt with it. And I think then I didn't really get in touch with my ADHD until my 50s,
Yeah.
honestly. And I just kind of powered through. And I think music in a lot of ways, and I've read some articles recently, even that music has a lot of great benefits to ADHD folks. And as a drummer, I
I
think both
believe it.
sides of the body and structure,
Yes.
like the structure of rhythm, there's a lot to that. I don't know how much, people probably won't study this as much because it's only music. It's not a pharmaceutical they can sell, but I
Right.
do think music is, so the fact that you're both in music or, for you, Chelsea, like with ADHD. I don't know how it is when you're making music but when you're practicing or singing or playing an instrument, it's like, it's really helps bring us into the moment and gets us out of the frenetic, thing that can happen. So breath work also is really great. So when you get to the breath work stuff there, I think that's a real incredible, device or technology, I like to call it, to help you focus. Helps me a lot.
Yeah, which thank you, because now I remember what I was gonna say.
Oh, good. If I just talk enough, I'll say enough keywords that'll. Okay, don't let me go. What are we gonna say?
Through. So it was interesting, the overlap. I was talking to this coach that I really would like to work with. She specifically does ADHD coaching,
right? Cool.
For women, and she was just in the consultation. We were talking about, when you try and push through the things that as an ADD brain that you're dealing with, when you're just like, I'm just gonna force through it, she's like, that exhausts your nervous system, it exhausts your mental capacities, like it exhausts. And how interesting is that it's I'm finding it's the same with doubt. When you just try and fight it and ignore it, fight it, pretend it's not there, whatever, and just push through it, like you said, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it scared, then that's not good, and it's like finding new tools and new ways. And this was like, this has been, and I point to your book, but this has been huge, like for me, just this part of it, where it's like acknowledging it. Which can I tell you what I've named my doubt voices?
Let's hear your self-doubt.
Which we'll see if you're, I actually, I get excited about this, but I laugh because I'm like, you may have never even seen the movie, but have you ever seen Mean Girls?
Yeah.
Okay. Regina George.
Yes.
The main mean girl, Rachel McAdams. She did a phenomenal job at it.
Yeah, right.
That's one of my voices.
Yeah, right. Isn't it amazing that how mean we can be to ourselves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, horrible. Like, and I dealt with mean girls when I was growing up. So I'm like, well, maybe that's where it just that just stuck. And then Sadness from Inside Out.
Sadness from Inside Out. Oh, I love her. Yeah. That's such a great movie. Great. Those are beautiful.
So those are my names.
So Regina and Sadness. Okay, great.
So you only have two.
I have many, but those are the two main.
I've been naming them like, well, because if you're not naming them, this is what I had a moment. I think I talked about this on one of our prior podcasts. But when I switched careers, I was a school teacher, switched to real estate, and ended up working right away for a very, very top producing team, and was like kind of like out of my league, to get in there, but they mentored me, they coached me, they gave me coaching right away. So
maybe they saw your amazing potential and talent,
But I had this underlying voice going on that I was not even hearing. And I think this is where, like, when you deny, it's going to run its tape anyways, whether you hear it. And I remember one day I was walking out the front door to go to my office, and I heard it. And the voice said, "You can't do this." And I stopped. I literally, it was almost as if somebody else
stopped your heart. You're like,
stop me. And I was like, how long has that been going on? Like, that was the question. How long has that been going in my head? And then the other voice, that's the kinder voice, showed up and said, you've been doing this already for 5 years. Like, you're doing it. But it was like, and so mine's Cruella de Vil. That's she's just there.
Isn't that great? I love when she told me that.
I did a little song called Cruella de Vil. It's like, and so when she shows up, I sing it to her.
Nice.
But because Chelsea and I were talking about, like, we have songs about everything. So
I love that.
But that part of what you're talking about, naming it, it does bring it out to over here, right? You putting it in the car, putting it somewhere else, because and some people might be listening to this and go, I don't even have that. And I think I would have been one of those people.
I've met some people who say they have no doubt, and I've met people who have very little, or they can't hear it.
Can't hear it is what I would think it is. You don't hear it yet. And the moment that I heard it was because I was working on some of my mindset. At the time, I was doing like a group with some other women, like a book club, and we were reading a book called, it's by Florence Scovel Shinn. It's like really old, from the 20s. Like, I can't even believe I can't remember the title of this book. But that's kind of where she starts talking about listening to your thoughts. That's like, listen
Yeah.
to what's going on in yourself, right?
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm.
you have the power to change some of that. Like
Right.
to like, you're never going to change your thoughts, but like how you can use mantras to help calm
Yeah, well,
those
and I guess, you know, we have to ask the question, like, where do the thoughts come from?
come
You
from.
know,
That was my next thing
and
on the
are
list.
they even ours? You know,
Right.
like this is, you know, a thing that I think people, you know, sometimes a wake up moment of you don't actually have to listen to your thoughts
Right.
just because you have an idea. I mean, first of all, I would say to all of us or anyone listening, there are lots of thoughts that you have that you don't act on. We all have those, you know.
Yes.
Whether, you know, someone cuts you off in line at the movies or something and you're like, I'd like to, you know, whatever, and it's like, but that's just your, you know, lizard brain reacting to like, oh, you've been, you know, watch out, you know, and it's like starting to have weird thoughts and you're like, but you have a bigger self, and this is, we
Yeah.
have to take that view though. It's like taking that seat of wisdom of like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Oh, okay, hear this voice. Oh, and I think the acknowledgement is huge, because it's like when you deny this, you know, I call it the lizard brain often, but like
Yes.
that
Yes.
voice of like trying to protect us, worried about danger, worried, anxiety, could be sadness, could be very, you know, oh, I should just hide, I should just crawl away and watch out, there's danger lurking somewhere, so I'm going to be safe, looking, craving safety, craving security, all those things that are normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not recognizing the other things that are beautiful about ourselves, about
Right.
what we have overcome. How many amazing things have you done to get to this moment today where you're podcast doing this interview? Like all the things that you've learned and done and created and bought computer, and you know, like maybe
Yeah.
simple things, but it's like you've done a lot to get to this point, and we just discredit all that because it's known. We're like, yeah, that's known.
So true.
But we want to, doubt is very future resistant, right? And past obsessed. So self-doubt is, let's say, looking at the past and looking at all the stories in the media, the stories of the world, and it's saying, collecting all this is like, oh, I'm gonna watch out so that we don't get killed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the future is dangerous because it's unknown. The future is always unknown for everybody.
Yeah.
So self-doubt is constantly worried about that. And our, you know, life, as we go directionally in the world, we have to go forward and we have to face the future, whatever that might be.
Yes.
And it's like we have to summon our own intention then, so that we can say, I'm not going to necessarily buy into all this fear, and the past is the past, it's not even here anymore. So I
Yeah.
have to embrace, and I think that's huge. A lot of people just can't hear that the software is running to protect them, and they
Mm-hmm.
just assume that's how it is. I did
Yeah.
the exercise in the conference, the I am exercise, which is like, I think that's a good place to look for your software. If you don't think you have any software running about self-doubt, is like
Yes.
anything you say, I am, or I am not. Like when people say, you know, you're songwriters, right? And I meet people all the time. Oh, I'm not musical.
Right.
Oh, you're not really? You know, I
Yeah.
like to think, oh, I don't sing. I can't sing. Oh,
Yeah.
really? I bet
Mhm.
when you were 4, you sang.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, I
Yeah.
bet when you were 5 years old, you're screaming at the rooftop if you could, you know.
Right.
I bet you sing, but you've accepted that singing is dangerous because your self-doubt voice has told you this, you know, and people like Simon Cowell have reinforced this.
Right.
Yes.
Someday I hope I get to personally tell him how annoyed I am with how many people he has
Yes.
destroyed their joy of singing, you know.
Right.
And I
Well,
found a video of him once, you can find it on YouTube, where he says he doesn't sing. And I was like, oh, perfect. That's why he's a
You're like,
critic of everyone else, because Simon doesn't sing.
and he
And
has a
I know he's just
huge
doing a
doubter.
shtick. I know it's a job. He's just doing a thing. But it's just to me, the evaluation that we go through with music, especially, it's so like your personal song, Christy. You're writing a personal song. And it's like, it seems now more dangerous because it's personal. But the
right.
Yes.
reality is, no one has to know it's personal.
Right.
It's just a song, you know. I mean, there's lots of songs we sing with crazy lyrics that probably are quite fictional,
Mm-hmm.
and they're fun, and we somehow relate to them in a art world. Like we're like, oh, I get that feeling, you know.
Yeah.
But like when we write something, we boldly put it out in the world. It's just perfect for the self-doubt voice to get all crazy and say, oh my God, you're going to expose yourself, or you're going to not say something that resonates, or you're going to say something that resonates too much, or you're like all
Yeah.
that stuff, because it's worried about you embarrassing yourself or stepping out of your lane, or all that. And And that's where we have to get back to like, no, I'm a songwriter and I'm writing, I'm making art and I'm putting it out in the world. And it's not for me to even judge. I like to really nurture the non-attachment as well. I talk about this also in the book about just, you know, we get really attached to outcomes of things. It's natural. We can be, you know, sometimes we're disappointed, right? Things happen and or we're frustrated, we're mad, all that stuff can happen. But to not do something because you're worried about that feels counterproductive, because that's the whole, you know, you're not going to know what people think of your music until you put it out there and let people experience it. Yeah. And I guarantee to anybody listening, if you wrote a song and you really love it, there's someone out there who will love it.
Yes.
Also. You may take you a long time to find them, but it may not, may happen way quicker than you think. And I've been surprised with my songs, how quickly I've found people that like it. And I had to be careful not to trust, not to also listen to other people's self-doubt. Like my own bandmates would be like,
yes,
Dave, I think we should change the key of this song. You don't sound very good on this. Or I don't know if you should really, you're going to release that. And I'm like, oh, they have self-doubt about me. Their doubt is worried about me. And I found it's funny. And I've released things, and there's songs out there that I'm not listening to it now. I can hear how pitchy I was in the early days. But you know what? It's like, I'm leaving them out there because it's like, it is what it is. And it's like, you know, I think we have to, you know, somebody, it resonated with people at the time, and there's people it might resonate with again, and there's more to do, you know. And I think we get so obsessed trying to be polished, especially, and that's interesting in the sync world, right?
Yes.
Like everyone wants polished because their own self-doubt is so worried about people, you know, sounding bad, whatever that is. And yet, you know, because they're trying to sell stuff. And so they're saying, we want to make sure the maximum amount of people think this is great. Yeah. And they're being very conservative. But it's like, if we look at the artists that we love, most of the artists we love are weird. Yeah, they do weird things. You know, like I love Thelonious Monk, because he's a jazz, you know, composer, piano player, and he's like one of the weirdest ones. And he's like, and the more weird he got, the more people loved him, you know. And you could say this about rock and roll. You could say this about so many things, you know, and not just music. I think, look at painters or, you know, our authors, right? Like we love the weird because they seem so incredible to us because they're brave. They're like,
well, wow, they're willing.
Yeah.
The authenticity.
Their authenticity. Yeah. They were so brave, and they stuck to what their natural thing was without being so worried about correcting it for everybody. And I think there's a boldness there that, you know, and did they still have self-doubt? Absolutely. You know, I mean, you can read so much. The Bob Dylan bringing the electric guitar out right at the folk festival, booed off stage, you know, for like a year or something, you know, is it kind of whatever the time length was, people can look that story up. But it's like, he just believed that he was in the right, and he definitely had moments of doubting it, but he just also said, more importantly, maybe that's why I'm going to do it, because I doubt it. It's like, I'm going to, you know.
You're bringing up two things in your book then that just in saying that I want to focus on, because one of them is daring to suck, right? Like you talked about daring to suck.
I love that.
I get that from my friends, the Corin brothers. I should give them credit. The brothers Corin, they're singing. They were two singers that were on Interscope at an album, and now they do like musical healing with folks. And
nice.
And I've studied a lot with them.
It's so important because, I mean, just the other day, so part of our podcast too is talking about our process, right? So we come, I love how you talked about being polished. Where this podcast is not polished.
Right.
We don't want it to be polished. We want it to be raw.
That's great.
And we want to talk about where we're at. And the other day, Chelsea and I we were getting together to do our right on the TV series. And we are kind of in a space while we're writing this that's like, it's the revision part. And we've got all
the rewriting.
We're polishing it, but we've got a very clear outline to follow right now. And so, but when we sat down to do it, we were both just like, okay, like it's just,
I was really tired that day, which I struggle with. And
and I'm like, let's just write a really bad paragraph.
Yeah, she's like, I'm up for writing with you if you want it. Let's just write
a bad one,
and let's make it the worst one ever. And I was like, I can do that.
That's a great exercise, actually. Yeah.
It's kind of like Stephen Pressfield. Like, I think you talk about him too in your book. And we read through his book earlier in our last season, and it's like, we're just going to write it, you know, because that doubt or whatever comes across, I'm too tired or I'm too this. And honestly, this TV series is like for me, what we're writing. This is what I also wanted to connect to in your book about the knowing, right? There's a
Knowing.
part of us, like Bob Dylan had a knowing that no, this song has to be this way. It has to have electrical guitar. It's like that knowing. And I have that around our TV series. And when I start talking about it, I get all these goosebumps. And I'm like, and that almost gets more like
makes it almost harder
to get through.
Yeah, for both of us, because we're like,
we know this is so like we're so like
talk about that a little more. So it's harder in what way?
Into the because it's like
harder to sit down and actually do the writing, like to get it out of our heads
and out of our bodies.
What's harder about it? Say more. Like, okay, so it's harder. So you
it's
sit down.
Scarier. It's definitely scarier. It's scarier. It's coming from a place of knowing for me that's so strong that we are doing it in a process of letting it come to us because we both like, oh gosh, this is it. This is the part we've been waiting. This part needs to be in there. We've been trying to figure out how to do this. And it's like, oh, this is how this has to go. So it's not fast, but it's like, it is definitely like a knowing. And so, but to take the knowing, you write about it really well in your book, I have to say. You write about the knowing and this like, the part that you go into, I'm going to go to your book.
That's fine. Sure.
Where you talk about sensing our limits, you know, and you get really into intuition and you get really into having the presence of others around you, people who you've had the moments of people who have passed on, your parents. And I like have a lot of that in my life and have since I was 16. And so the knowing that when it's there, which is a big part, I feel like, with Chelsea and I on this TV series, and then to be able to put it to paper and write about it, I think the doubt that comes up, and this is what's just coming to me right now, Chelsea, is being good students in the writing. And because we do have a mentor helping.
Like if we're not good students, then we're in trouble.
I don't know what that is, but it's like that. I mean, I'm just coming to it now, but it's like, it's, you know, so we're just writing a bad series right now.
I think that's you're touching on something that's really, I think, fascinating to me, is about, I think about this a lot, is the learning thing. So like, okay, like we're always learning. Yes. And sometimes we're students and you know, the connotation we have around being students is like, oh, you don't know anything yet. You need to like learn. You're not quite ready. Right. And this is a problem because, you know, we have to also assume we are masters at what we're doing. So like you are a masterful screenwriter or storyboard, or, you know, for the scripts you're writing, you're a master script writer and you're also learning. Right. So like, and I think we have to realize, I took a songwriting class from Brian Eno at this great company called School of Song.
We listen to a podcast.
Check out School of Song. And Brian Eno said, you know, he's like, I think he's around in his early 70s maybe. And he said, I believe that my best work is in front of me. And I have to believe that. And if I didn't believe that, how much fun would it be anyway? And like, why not believe that? Even if it's not true. Right. And this is where we get in, like, so we have to assume another great book, Effortless Mastery by Kenny Werner. He's a jazz pianist. And he wrote a book about like, put your hands on the keyboard. That's a song. You know, you know, you're a master. You've got this. And we have to cultivate that perspective as well as the perspective that I'm a student now and I'm going to go study with a master and they're going to teach me some scales or some chord shapes or something or some vocalizations or whatever. And I'm learning that, but I'm also still a master of these other things. And this is, I think, a really important distinction we have to make about learning versus mastery, and where the self-doubt dragon can become really fierce because it's like, oh, you don't know enough. You don't, there's always more. And you can talk, I've met world famous, when I was at Ableton and Isotope, I met world famous musicians and people who will all tell you they feel amazed and humbled by what they still have to learn. You can never learn it all. And so you have to like recognize, because the brain focuses on the gap, you know, not necessarily doesn't focus on what you have achieved, because that's a known thing. It's not impressed anymore with that. You know, and so we have to build that side of ourselves up. Wow, you showed up today to write this thing that you know needs to be in the world. Wow, isn't it amazing you have that knowing? Sit with that knowing for a while and experience that too. Just like you might converse with self-doubt, but can you sit with the knowing? What else do you know, or what do you truly know? Can you articulate that? Like, I would say that's a great thing to journal on, building that story, and like over several days. What am I really sure about, and knowing what am I feeling into? I want it to be authentic. I want it to be X and Y and Z. And
Well,
that.
that's kind of what we're doing with this writing right now,
Yeah.
is being able to do that. I want to, and when you talk about that in the begin, being a beginner, being a beginner is easy for me, and I like it because somehow I have relief because I don't have to know.
It's safe.
I
right.
don't
It's safe.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
same.
but we're not beginners.
I got low expectations, right? If you're a beginner,
exactly.
it's always
Bar
fun, right?
low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I'm going to take a dance class, for you're a dancer, but if I took a dance class, like, I got really low expectations, I'm good.
Yeah.
But also though, when you're releasing your work, your creative work out there, it's like you're bringing the full gestalt of everything you have to all the decades of life you've lived into whatever you do.
Yeah.
I like that John Lennon quote where he'd say, like, give me a tuba and I'll make some art with it. I don't play the tuba, but I'm an artist. And I think that's a perspective that, like, he had very strongly. And I think a lot of great artists have that opinion of themselves. Joni Mitchell, like, famously painted to, like, she would do an album and then she would go on a painting binge. And she would, and whether you like her painting or not wasn't the point. The point was, she was an artist, and she was expressing herself in those other mediums, so that then she could then come back and have a more of a blank canvas. I don't mean that pun, but she could kind of show up and go, okay, I can be now a full songwriter in this next album because I've kind of gotten that out of my system. And she was toggling right between, like, oh, beginner mind over here, now expert master over here. And then she'd write these amazing songs. And it's like, I think, we can play with those learning as like the spirit of learning is amazing, but we don't have to assume that we know nothing. Because you can't, sorry, neither of you get a pass, neither do I, that we don't know anything. We know a lot. And even if you take a beginner class of anything, you're bringing in all this experience, So self-doubt does a real number on us there. Like, I can feel it sometimes if I take piano lessons and voice lessons. I can sometimes feel like I almost shrink back and go, oh God, I got so much to learn. And then I have to, like, kind of remind myself, okay, now I'm playing. Last night I played an open mic, and, like, I've got a lot to offer. I need to, lean into what I do have to offer and not worry if I can play this little figure the way I want to play it on the piano someday,
Yes. I think I definitely struggle with the balance, which is getting better. But that's been really hard because I'm definitely one of those people that I'm like, I need to know everything. I mean, ask my mom or ask my husband, I need to know everything about this thing before I do it,
Okay.
And then there's this other side of me. It's like, I've told Christy this all the time. I feel like I'm two different people, because then there's the next day I'm like, screw it, I'm jumping off the cliff.
Yeah.
Where's your parachute? I don't know. I don't care. I don't know how. I have one. I don't know how it works.
Yeah. And actually, Chelsea, you're more than two people, actually, I would say. And this is the I am exercise is I am not, is like, I love when, they would ask, like, we do like executive training at retreats, and they would do a personality test. They say, are you an introvert or an extrovert? And I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Like, we're all multifaceted, incredibly complex, creatures. And so these, you have lots of types. And so it's like, that's where I think the power is recognizing there's this multitude. And then it's like, what am I wanting to bring my intention into? Yeah. What am I gonna expand on versus what voices am I going to listen to? Because they're all there. Yes. We can step back, but it's hard because when we get, Tara Brach calls it, like, when we're in trance and we're just, like, going through the motion, or you're feeling the pressure of trying to make an income, or you're feeling the pressure of a boss breathing down your neck. You're like, it's really hard to have that perspective of, like, that you're a master at whatever you're doing, because you're, like, worried about the result. And so then that worry, it's like, you could say, is that my worry really, or is it self-doubts? And what can I build up about my own abilities, my own direction? That's the work, and I think it's just, to me, what's great, I think, is the work is so powerful because it helps you do things that you couldn't do before.
Yeah.
And
That's very true.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping people get out of the book is they can do things they couldn't do,
Well, you
especially
offer
creatively.
a lot of different
Mhm.
reframing
Mhm.
options, which I
Yes.
Cool.
think is
Yeah.
really cool. Like you do offer breath work, meditation is also one, which I'd love to talk a
Sure.
little bit about
Sure.
meditation
Yeah. We can talk
because
meditation. Love
um,
it.
I'm not somebody that would sit for an hour, but I do yoga and I do meditate, and I do know that if I, am going to come into like a writing session, and
Hmm.
I've done this with songwriters before where you
Yeah.
can just feel like we are not going to be able to really write.
Mm-hmm.
That to just stop and we're going to do a 2-minute meditation just
Yeah.
to try to
Right. Collect
connect,
ourselves.
connect into yourself and like what's our purpose here? What's our intention?
Mm.
But there, so all these different ways to like reframe what you're trying to do in the moment. Like when we did it, we didn't even know we were doing it, Chelsea, when we were like, let's just write that paragraph.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's like the serious approach. Let's get our intention together. Let's do a
Yeah.
meditation together. You could also pull out the clown noses and put them on your
Oh, good
and go
idea.
I didn't even think about
like,
that.
all right, let's just let's go dance for 5 minutes to a crazy song. Like that also could bring you in the moment. And this is the thing I think
Yes.
people meditation has this. It's like meditation is such a broad term anymore. It means so many
Right.
different things,
Yeah.
but I think that it's can be very serious. And it doesn't, the way I have taught, at least the study I've done, is don't get too bought into all the dogma around how it's supposed to be, because that in itself is already a trap. That
Yeah.
meditation is an experience and it's a cultivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a practice, right? It's something you're practicing, and you always practice. There's no getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yes.
practice to help us be in tune with our body differently, be in
Mm-hmm.
tune with our awareness differently.
Yeah.
You know,
And if you've got
so
if you have people like me, or like you said you were diagnosed too, like the
yeah.
ADHD, it's nearly impossible for me to sit there
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
think about nothing.
Yeah.
That is not how my brain works.
I think breath
But if
work
I,
might, if have you done breath work before?
I
Okay.
struggle with it because then I I get very antsy. It actually sometimes makes me more restless
What kind of breath
sometimes.
work have you done? Or
Well, I should say, yeah. So
that
what
you want
I
to share with the world in your podcast? I don't want you.
share with the world, I one of the only ones I've done is, and I look at my watch because it's just a silly Fitbit. So it has the
Sure.
like 2 minute, where it's like, okay, 2 minute breath work.
Mhm.
And you're supposed to watch it as it's like, okay, breathe in, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to follow it. And I get really
You're just,
anxious
oh, you're
about
interesting. Yeah.
following that. The only
Yeah.
other breath work I've done was at night where I do like the box breathing. So I don't
Mhm.
know if
Okay.
that's.
Yeah. So, okay. So those are like the type of work you're just, and I'm glad we're down this rabbit hole, because it's interesting. There's different types of breath work for different types of outcomes, so there's
Okay.
breath work that will calm you, that will actually, can measure that it will reduce your heart rate, it will reduce your blood pressure even over time,
Yeah.
and so there's that sort of relaxation thing. And the breath work, especially like box breathing, like that's the thing that the Marines do famously to
Right.
calm themselves in a situation that's not calm, right?
Right.
Okay.
So there's other types of breath works that actually are more like invigorating. So
Okay.
Mm.
like,
Which
so
makes
you
sense.
might now Wim Hof is a controversial character maybe, but he's interesting. I don't know, but you can check out. He teaches this thing. I think he calls it bellows breath, but it's more of a it's like hyperventilating almost.
Oh.
So it's like taking like a deep breath in, through it through the belly, and then letting it out. So it's like so you do, and there's a whole series I'm glossing over. It's probably a lot to put on listeners here, but basically you do 20 or 30 sort of hyperventilating breaths like that. And don't do this if you have a health condition, and be careful and all that stuff, I should say.
Yeah.
But you do
Disclaimer.
20 or 30 of them, and then you let the breath out, and you let it out for like a minute
Oh,
without
wow.
breathing, or maybe 30 seconds to start. And then you take a recovery breath for 15 seconds. You hold that in kind of just with your diaphragm like a singer would, and then you start the next series. So you do three sets of 30, or three sets of 40, or three sets of 10,
Okay.
whatever you're up for. And that holding the breath out thing is really fascinating, because what it does is it is basically changing the blood oxygen level
Oh,
on
sure.
purpose, because you're off gassing, like you're actually making your blood have a little less oxygen.
Okay.
And this actually is a good thing for us. So there's a great book by James Nestor called Breath or Breathe, maybe. And he's an investigative reporter, and he goes underground to learn about all the different types of breath work that are done. And some of this stuff is done like for thousands of years. These are like, techniques that have been taught. That's Wim Hof's thing is just totally grabbed from the monks, basically. Tibetan monks. And so it's like a thing where people are able to create these new states in your body. And so I think for the way I was taught meditation is to do some of these deep breath work before you do the meditation. Then you're going to have a much calmer physiology going on, but you're also invigorated at the same time. So you're not like sleepy. You're actually like, okay, I'm here. Like I'm actually kind of oxygenated my blood, and then I've kind of off-gassed that extra oxygen, and now my blood is feeling like a little more, they call it like de-acidified, I think, or something. You've changed the balance of it. And there's lots of people who can speak about this more factually than I can, but I talk about that in the book a little bit. And I think so doing some different types of breath work would be, I think, helpful to set up your meditation. And then all of this to be said is the meditation is just the practice for real life. It's not, the whole point is by practicing, then it's going to make other things better. It's not really about how well the meditation goes. So even if you're distracted and you're nervous, or you're like having an experience there, that's okay. That's your practice that day, because you're it's not about doing it right. More importantly, when I'm coaching folks around meditation, I like to ask, why are you meditating? Like, what is your motivation? Because nobody seems to talk about that. No one, we all just kind of go, oh, you should. Well, you should do a lot of things. We don't have time to do any, no one has time for all the shoulds in the world. Right? There's just so, so we have to pick and choose. So meditation, it has certain benefits, and depending on the type of meditation you're doing and everything, it's like, well, that is going to help cultivate certain states. What type of meditation you're doing, how you're doing it, how long, how often, it starts to be like, and is it helpful? Do you notice any benefits to doing it? It needs to probably be in the picture for a Western mind, especially. It's like we need to be realistic. Like, what am I doing here? And I think a lot of times just setting it up, even if it's just like, I'm doing this to help my concentration or to help be more mindful throughout the day. But even saying that to yourself before you do it is really helpful, I think, to just frame that the meditation work you're going to do is going to be, get you the results you're intending. Otherwise, it's like, and I'm not saying you're trying to get results, but it's just like, why are you showing up? Because it's otherwise we're just sitting there and going, okay, well, I'm having thoughts still, and I'm distracted. And is this really helpful? I don't know. And it's like, and then you're like more self-doubt, or you're more worried. And it's like, no, it's like, if you just are showing up saying, hey, I'm just going to intend to have a couple moments of peace to myself. That already can be something.
That already is an intention.
I mean, for me, I would say I would do that because I'm trying to connect to myself,
connect to myself. Really okay, great. I want to connect to myself.
Be in my body, connect to myself, and then I can go out into the world and be more connected to life itself. Like that's kind of that would be my reason of doing meditation.
And do you say that to yourself when you meditate? Do you kind of remind yourself of that?
I think so, but like just got that very clearly sitting here listening to you. Like, what is it?
I've never done that.
So it's almost like, can you
now I will say that because I don't think I have really said like, oh, I'm going to connect to you, Christy. And then when we go out into the world, I'm going to life.
That, Christy, that would be a power. Just even like, I love what you do with your chest too. Like put your hands there, just like, I'm going to connect to you, Christy. And I'm like, can do this thing. And then start your practice. I think it's huge. I think you'll notice big benefits because you'll feel like, oh, I'm here. I'm a little more clear on why I'm here.
See, I wish so much. I was a school teacher, and I wish so much, elementary school and middle school, that this was taught in our schools, because I think we get taught so much to be up in our head and to think about stuff and have to do our tests and do that stuff. And I don't teach anymore for a lot of these reasons, and I've talked enough about that on this podcast.
Right, yeah. Some of my kids' teachers do that, I noticed. So
they're getting, they're
doing a little more,
Yeah. just like
Right.
even if it's just mindfulness for 2 minutes and I did a class a couple of years ago about meditation was a big part of it, and it was
Mm-hmm.
through the Teachers College at um, uh, my gosh, what college I'm blanking out, in New York. I'll have to come back to the name of it.
Okay.
And it was really teaching a 2 week or 8 week process of helping college kids who were really severely depressed. Like our college kids are very depressed when
Yeah,
they went
sure.
their freshman year. And meditation was a big part of it. And part of
Mm.
it was because they did studies on the brain that show that the cortex actually grows and thickens, which is a defense against depression. So that
Right.
could even
Right.
be a reason,
Right.
like, I'm going to do this so that I am not depressed,
Mm.
that to help
Mm-hmm.
me so that I don't, it actually was something you didn't have to
Yeah.
do it right. You
Right.
could be
Exactly.
envisioning
There's
yourself in
walking
nature.
meditation too, by the way,
Yes.
Chelsea. You could go on a walk and say,
Yeah.
this is my meditative. I often give this sort of practice to clients, like not with a podcast, not
Mm-hmm.
with music even. I want you to go on a walk and just do a five senses scan. Like while you're
Okay.
walking, just
Ooh.
just go feet, start feeling your feet, touch, sense of touch. What am I smelling? What am I hearing? What do I see? What do I taste even? Maybe it happens. And just start, what I like to even go, emotions. What am I feeling emotionally? What's going on with me?
Yeah.
Energetically, where am I at with my energy today? And then just keep repeating that. And then
Okay.
you'll get distracted and then keep coming back. And that is a practice. And mindfulness is the thing where we over I think we overemphasize, like, I've got to be sitting on a cushion
Yeah.
with a
Right.
bell for an hour and I can't
Right.
move,
Yeah.
and I'm like I often use music, like ambient music or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat in with a workshop one time of master meditators, and this guy said, "You can't have any music. That's absolutely ridiculous because it's going to distract you." And I was like, "Maybe for you, but
Right.
the
Yeah.
thing is, when is what I asked him later is that when is it silent? Is there? Can you find me a moment where there's no noise? Because if
Right.
there's not, you can't. They have chambers. We know that in the audio world, right, where if you go to in Stanford University, I went when the anechoic chamber, or whatever they call it, where you go in and they've made it completely silent, and you go
Wow.
in and you can hear your own blood flowing in your body, and it's freaky
I don't know if I'd
because
want to do that.
no, it's not it's actually kind of unsettling, and they
Yeah.
warn you before you go in there,
Yeah.
and they do this for scientific experiments,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
And I'll
gosh.
have to look up the spelling of this.
You hear your
But
heartbeat.
you can feel your heart, you can hear your heartbeat, and you can hear like the blood kind of moving. And after about 10 or 15 seconds, you're kind of like, okay, I'm good. Like, get me out of here.
Oh
Because
my
in the
God.
world, we have air conditioners, there's
Oh
the
yeah.
wind
Right.
rustling the leaves, right? So there's always noise. So
Right.
it's like, whether it's music or whatever, that's just another way to cultivate an experience. And I think we get way too into being a student of all this. And it's like, hey, you can meditate by playing a scale on the piano.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, you can meditate by walking, but it's really about presencing. And can you bring that full intentionality of what you're doing? Like, hey, I'm worried about my depression. I would say, can you find a positive message there?
Yeah.
Just
I was
because
thinking
I
that
think,
too. Yeah.
well, because I'd just say otherwise you're putting the intention into the negative. And I say, can you put
True.
the intention into how, what, I need to cultivate some joy right now because I'm
Yes.
feeling, or I need to cultivate some stability right now. I need to cultivate a feeling of safety, and then to
Yes.
work with that, and then as an intention, and then do whatever the practice might be. And then I do think there is something about ritual and like
Mm-hmm.
trying to come back to the same thing
Yeah.
several times. It might be like for a season or for a year or whatever, but that you cultivate a certain uh, regimen or routine, because that can start to help the body relax into it a little quicker. Well, at least it creates the illusion of stability.
Yeah.
The world is nothing stable. Everything's
Right.
moving, right?
Right.
But it's like you have the illusion of stability, and then your brain, the paranoid brain, relaxes. And that's
Yeah.
one of the key things about meditation, is it's trying to get your paranoia to relax and shut the F up so you can actually be,
Yes.
Right.
and that's where
Right.
all this, it's very similar in a way to concepts in my book, and what I've discovered in my own journey of, like, I've got to get clear on where I'm at,
Yeah.
Right.
you know.
Which it's so silly to me that I've never, like, the times that I have tried, meditating is I have literally never set an intention for my
That's
meditation.
okay.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm like, oh
Either.
my gosh,
Like,
how have I never done this? Like,
Yeah, well, it's
and
because
it's
probably no one planted the idea. They just said you should
No.
do it, and you're a good student, Chelsea. So you're
Yep.
and instead it's like I'd say you, Chelsea, are a master meditator of your own mind, and you know where your mind is. You're very aware in this conversation. You're like, oh, okay, now I'm distracted. Oh, now I'm very into this, and you're able to kind of navigate all the places that you can go. So now it's just saying, okay, now I'm going to choose this for this moment. I'm going to choose this, and you start to practice it. And
yeah,
love to hear how it goes after a
I was
month.
gonna
And
say, I'm
I'll
like, I'll
send
be
you a
the good
video.
student.
Yeah. There's a guy a YouTube guy that he's taken the Wim Hof thing. I think he's made it a little more spiritual. It's Kitaro Waga, I think is his name. Kitaro Waga. And he talks about workout routines and other things, but his breath work stuff is really excellent, I think. So for people if want to check out, and he'll talk about sort of the more vigorous breath work that we're talking about, because he's doing it for energy and like health.
Okay.
And and the long-term benefits of the breath work, I mean, the science is really good. And James Nestor's book talks about that. We tend to breathe too shallow right now, like the whole society.
I heard that.
And
yeah.
we breathe too frequently and too shallow. So we're almost hyperventilating already.
Yeah.
We're like going,
well, because we're in this like it's like attention.
We're nervous.
We're nervous. I do yoga twice a week. I have a very back to routine. I have a very routine. I go to hot yoga twice.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about your routines.
And what is so funny you say is that when I go, because I go Sunday morning and I go Wednesday night, and for different intentions. Sunday mornings is my intention for the week. Wednesday is kind of like almost like a getting rid of, and it's very hot yoga, so it's like sweats out all the tension. But when I'm on my way to that Wednesday class, I am not even there and I already start to feel relaxed because my brain knows.
Yeah, right. Your brain's
already. I'm going to be on that mat. I know the music. I know we're almost. It's so routine. Almost all of us are the same people that go. It's really interesting. Same teacher, same thing. It's like I do like that routine, and I'm not really a routine person, honestly, in my life. But in that, I love it. And it's the same.
You're not a routine person, but you're a routine person.
So. But I'm a routine person. Like, you know how you have some people that like, I mean, it can't change throughout the day. Like I'm very throughout the day, it's all over the place. But for yoga and even the yoga practice that I do, it's the same movement. It's not a different movement. And I've always kind of thought that was interesting because I'm usually in dance or any exercise, I get kind of tired of the same and I have to go to dance teachers that do the different dance moves. But in this case, I really like, and I can go anywhere to another studio and they do the same routine. It's really kind of an interesting thing. Yeah. And the breathing, I do notice if I don't go, I do breathe shallower. I have noticed that after my class, because we do some breathing in the beginning and you're supposed to breathe through all of your exercises, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can breathe. So it's almost like I go there to get breath. It's weird. It's like I've thought that before. Yeah.
That's even great. Now I'm like, so you're setting an intention now. You're already starting to talk about what your intention is for going, which is
great.
So
I have a new one. So in all this breath work, I've had to, as a singer, I've been a writer the whole time, but I hadn't practiced singing as much until a couple years ago. And man, it is like, it's a muscle that you have to work on. It's not, I couldn't come back and just sing, like I used to. And the breathing is such a big part of it. I was thinking about with the breath work. So any of those singers.
Yeah, breath work is great for singers.
I need to do some of that the first time I went and took real singing lessons, I took it at San Diego City College. She was an opera teacher. And she taught us some breathing exercises to be able to really work with our diaphragm. Yeah. And she also said, everyone can learn to sing.
Exactly.
Everyone can learn to sing. And so it was really magical because, boy, she brushed out all the doubt in all of us in that first day.
And I would even say, I'd tweak that to like, everyone can sing.
Yes.
Everyone can sing more and have more experiences and maybe become a better singer to them. But it's like everyone can sing now. Yeah. And like, let's go back to Bob Dylan. Is Bob Dylan a great singer that everyone, I don't know, maybe to some people he probably is, but I think the main thing, it's the whole gestalt of what Bob Dylan brings. It's not that, you know, and so this is the thing where like we get so caught up in like, especially technical singers get very, or technical anybody, they get very caught
Yes.
up in the technical thing that they've worked very hard to master, which is very important to them. And that's great, but it doesn't negate all of our experiences, you know.
That's important to
Sid
remember.
Vicious could sing too, I guess, you know, like everyone, like who can't sing? If you can have a voice and you can make a sound with your voice, you can sing.
Yes.
I say. And whatever that means to somebody else, fine, that's their opinion.
Right.
And that's whatever. But I think that what you're onto is great, though, that yes, you can have more experiences, you can study with people, and you know, the more experience you have singing, the more fun it probably is, because you have more options. You just learn different ways to express and different ways what your voice is capable of.
Harmonies, that was my thing. So in sync, like, because I'm doing all my own vocals, I used to hire, you know, backup singers and friends, you know, a lot of them come and sing. But now with sync, I'm not singing with a whole live band when we record or bring out. I'm doing
your own harmonies. Probably
my own harmonies, and that has been interesting. And you know, sometimes I suck. I will say it. I'll be like, you know, that's not the harmony I wanted. But then sometimes the harmony that I wanted didn't work as well as the harmony I ended up doing. You
That's
know,
the
it's kind of
experimentation of art, right? I mean, that's what you have to do, is you have to I mean, music is full of experimentation. We have to just try things, and
try things.
sometimes we have to try them live, you know, like I played a couple songs live last night that were brand new things, and I'm, you know, stumbling, and I'm not happy with certain notes I hit or whatever, but it's like, but I got the feedback I felt like I wanted to get, like which parts felt like, I heard this thing the other day, like sometimes we learn more by the nonverbal feedback of an audience. Like we can tell, like, how is this registering? It's almost more interesting in a way, because the verbal feedback, now that gets the self-doubt and all this, you know, everyone wants to, they want to be an expert and they want to say something smart or whatever. And it's like, actually, no, it's more like, did it touch your heart?
Right.
Can I tell if it touched your heart?
I have
it in your eyes.
I've always had a dream.
Body.
Will someone cry? Like if I'm singing. So Chelsea wrote, I'm going to say this, Chelsea, your song that she played in our listening session, if I listen to it, it makes me cry.
Wow, beautiful.
And that's a good thing.
To me, that's like a big accomplishment. I think it's like that's like the goal, right? And I'm like walking the other day.
Amazing compliment. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm listening
it's like Chelsea's intuition, her own intention and intuition have like created this experience, and she's translated.
Came through.
Yeah, it's good. And Dave, I want to say one of the things that I loved about hearing your story when I first met you was transitioning from being a drummer. I think, if I remember this correctly, for 30 years. And I think
longer, probably.
And I think
54, so I started playing when I was 11, but I was playing
professionally.
So
longer.
But I was playing, in clubs at 18, 19.
Yeah.
So.
But the words you said to me that I remember were, I spent a lot of time playing other people's songs and decided it's time for me to play my own.
Yeah, beautiful.
I know, it was very impactful. I was like,
sounds very wise. Yeah.
So beautiful. But it is, because as you said, you're 54, I'm 54 as well.
Cool.
And I love that. And a big part of our podcast has been, it's never too late. Like we were saying before,
absolutely never too late. Yeah.
That if you come up with an idea, it doesn't matter. So I love that you're a drummer and turned songwriter, because I'm a dancer turned songwriter, and it's different than being a piano player. I sing and I play and I write rhythmically. As opposed to writing like on guitar or some of the other ways. So it's an interesting, so I always thought, oh, that's so cool. He's a drummer, he's turned songwriter. And it's
there's a lot of drummers that have turned, I mean, there's a lot of, you know, everything, but it's like, you know, I mean, Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel were both drummers. Peter Gabriel's a big hero of mine for sure.
Nice.
And I think like you can go, you know, in the jazz world, there's this old guy, Grady Tate, who was a great drummer who also sang and wrote some songs, and you know, you can go on and on. There's, I think the multi-instrumentalist thing, I mean, it's just a different expression, and if you can merge all kinds of this stuff, that it's all musical context. But I think the important thing I just want to say about that quote to me, when you said it, I liked hearing it back. Thanks for,
you're
like
welcome.
a gift that you gave me. But I would say that what's important to me is it's also the claiming of my own songs. That
Yes.
the empowerment, what I want so much for the world is people to write their own song, because it just is like such a statement to yourself. No matter who else hears it or who cares, you've done something awesome for you. You've made a, it could also be a poem. It could also be a watercolor drawing, I think, in fact, I'm joking a lot lately with my musician friends. We would all learn a lot from poets, like about like, hey, I'm doing like musicians always expect all these people to come to their gigs when no one, they want to do, they don't want to do any work. These classic musician, my friends, and I've done this myself, is you work so hard on getting your music done, you get your music done, and you just want to show up to the gig and have everybody love it. And it's like, like poets don't do this. Like poets, like they write their poetry and they slave over these words, and then they go, and they're lucky if like two friends come to a cafe to hear them read a poem, and it's like, why are musicians, but we have this rock star thing that has just screwed us all up, and we think, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like. And it's like, we have to realize that, that was a really fine, if we look at the history of music, thousands of years of people making music one way or another, and the brief few decades of rock star are coming to an end,
True.
and it's like, this is just celebrity, it's entertainment, it's not music. Like, it's music is part of the vehicle, but that's not the point. The point is not music. It's like, the point is the show, the lights, the image, the crowd, the whole freaking thing. And we musicians, then the average folks out here, like even writing a song for a motion picture or a thing, you're writing something that you're trying to emotionally connect with another person. That in the old days, that could have been in a parlor or on the back porch with a banjo and someone listening. Like, that would have also been an amazing experience.
I love that you say that.
Right?
I really do love that you say
that. And
it
doesn't mean, and what if their arpeggios aren't perfectly into, like, or, whatever, it doesn't matter. They create, I mean, look at all those great blues artists from the Delta area that like weren't in tune, sang kind of in their own world, and you feel every ounce of that music. You can feel it. I don't care who you are, and that to me is like, music is in all of us, and it doesn't matter if it's pitch perfect, it doesn't matter if it's rhythmically perfect and all that. And I think as professionals, we can learn to refine that and make it presentable for the every person. It's just like, Picasso would sketch on a napkin, but then, okay, if he's going to sell a big painting somewhere, he would, produce it. But that's a different thing, but that's a different even part of the craft of what we're talking about. When you're an artist trying to, share something, self-doubt is just rampant about what you're going to share. And so then we use all these craft things to try and make our art acceptable, instead of leaning into, like I say, the knowing of like, warts and all, here it is. Like, I love your idea. Write the worst possible paragraph you could in your screenplay.
It wasn't that bad, actually.
It wasn't that bad. And maybe even it's really interesting, right? Like, ooh, wow, I wonder what they did there. Because sometimes our perception, we can't help but have our own subjective opinion in everything we do. We can't help it. So how do we know?
Right.
I definitely put lyrics in songs that I'm like, I liked it at the time, and then later I'm like, I don't know about that. And people are like, I love that song. And you're like, okay, perfect. That's exactly what I meant to do. It's just, this is part of the whole chemistry of it, and how the randomness of it in a way. Too.
Well, and I think too, or just, I guess, just a experience that I had with this whole concept. And again, this is one of the songs that Christy was talking about, that all I knew was I had an emotion. And I didn't know how to get it down. And I play piano well enough to fool people who don't play piano. And I'm a rhythm guitarist, but vocals are my jam. And
Great. Love it.
but I have these lofty ambitions of wanting to compose, because I'm so impacted by soundtrack music and, like the soundtracks for movies and things like that. Right.
You mean I want to compose with orchestral music or?
I would love to.
Okay.
But the disconnect there for me is so this was my brain, right? So the disconnect there was, I'm like, what are you talking about? You've never been in orchestra. You did da 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 da. You don't have this, that, and the other. Well, come to find out, my brain was trying to get it out some way or another. And this is how one of these songs came about. That one of these two that I was talking about, what are you working on right now? Is I literally was just like, I was sitting at my computer and I was making it a habit, and I'm trying to get back into that habit of you know what, sit down. Like I've learned my, DAW, digital audio workface, or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I've learned how to use it to my benefit rather than looking at it as, oh, that's only when it's the final piece, when it's the
Right. Yeah.
final
Sure.
ready to
Yeah. You're
record.
using it as a tool. That's
I'm using it
intended.
as a tool,
Yeah.
100%. And
Right.
it's suddenly my canvas and my paintbrush. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
sit down this one night. This is one of the first ones I did, where I had this melody in my head, and I like dark indie cinematic is kind of some of the stuff that I like to sing and work on. And I had this melody in my head, so I wrote that. And as soon as I got that track down, I heard the harmony for it. And then I got that down, and I started hearing, these extra little percussion pieces, and I did them all vocally. So I had like 6 or 7. I orchestrated.
Yeah.
I didn't know it at the time, though. Isn't this funny? This was like 2 years ago that I started doing this. Because I've done a bunch of different pieces since then.
Right.
And only, I think it was maybe just before PMC, or maybe even at PMC, that I realized, I'm like, oh my God, this is my brain orchestrating,
Right.
And so I did start putting the pieces together, and some of it I would replace, even Christy, though, she was like, you know what? She's like, you don't have to replace any of that with instruments. What if you just kept it as an, a cappella vocal piece?
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
I'm playing with that.
Yeah. What if you,
so
what if you said, what if your self-doubt said, took a back seat and you said, I know there's a lot of ways of how it's supposed to be, but there's a lot of people who already do that.
Yes.
Yep.
What if you do you?
Yep. Ooh, that's
all the way, just like some of our heroes did, that they were so authentic. Be authentically you.
Yeah.
What I hear is Chelsea, with a passion for wanting to learn about orchestration, is orchestrating in her own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's
exactly
nothing wrong with that. Why is that? In fact, it might be the innovation that someone is looking for.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
That's
Why
true.
we get so caught up in conformity. It's hilarious to me. Like I always thought, why are musicians so conservative? Like why do we, when I used to work at Ableton, so I joined Ableton when maybe some of your listeners know about Ableton's this amazing,
I was gonna say, for
music
those
software application that was trying to make, it's called Ableton Live, and the idea was you'd make the computer an instrument rather than just an editing device. And so you're meant to perform within Ableton, and a lot of the functions are to like design without ever stopping the music. So you're kind of like, you're adding effects and tracks and automating and doing all, but the music's playing all the time. So it's really conducive to like electronic music, dance music at first, but now like everyone, but millions and millions of people use Ableton.
Yes.
And the idea was back then was like we wanted people to work differently and to be in tune with like what they were creating in the moment and staying the whole idea was like, how do we get people to not ever have to like go to editing brain, to just stay in that creative brain.
Sometimes that's the best song, is it right then in the moment it's coming through emotionally.
And many of our customers, we would do surveys and we were like, what genre of music are you writing? And the number one genre of music was experimental.
Oh, nice.
And it was, at first we thought that was really weird. And what do we do with that as a marketing? I'm helping them with marketing. Like, okay, how do we reach experimental people? But what I found is like most musicians and most artists of any, after any length of time, want to experiment. And like, that's actually like the best thing you could do is to make something really experimental, because they make something weird and then they eventually can decide if they want to commoditize it a bit or make it more accessible or something. But like what we get excited about as artists is something that is interesting to us. Like, ooh, that's intriguing. That's strange. That melody you heard when you mentioned starting your song, that was something you're hearing and you're like, oh, that I hear that wants to be born. Now I hear the harmony. And it's like, you're experimenting inside your own muse or with your own muse creatively and then real time, and that's how things are born, right? And by you staying with it too, it's really cool. See, there's an example of self-doubt was nowhere present. You were just like, oh, I'm just doing this.
It was my first experience really with telling doubt to, at the time. I mean, I'm laughing because the phrase that's coming to mind is to go F itself,
that's fine.
but I like this better, what you kind of been teaching in the book, as far as like for me, because I'm not that person. I don't tell anybody that. Well, maybe not to their face, if they really piss me off or I'm driving and they're being an idiot, but whatever. But the Mean Girls,
Regina, right? So Regina, like the Mean Girls thing is like you know, that voice, if that someone talked to you like that, you would like never invite them in your home, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
somehow it's okay for us to talk to ourselves. So it's like, that's that thing of like, wait a minute, you know, you can start to call doubt out. And this is what I talk about, like write down a letter.
Yeah.
And sometimes the letter, you need to like really let him or her have it and go, F you, get the F out of my car. I'm not driving with you anymore. This is like, you're not fun,
you
know?
Yeah, you're not allowed for this road trip.
Yeah, not allowed, you know, and it's right. It's just like you would with a backseat driver or a front seat driver who's telling you how to drive. It's so annoying, right?
Yeah, pretty much kick them out every time. I'm
so
like,
annoying.
no.
So,
my husband hates it.
Yeah.
He's like, don't kick me out. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's just that's the
sometimes it's like thing like I got this. Like, you know, no one wants to be micromanaged, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, this has been so good.
Yeah.
Is there any other pieces from your book or anything that you'd like to share?
No, I mean, I think, you know, it's interesting to me, the life, like, I mean, I put this out a couple years ago. I'm trying to think, I think it was 2003. And do you know, can you look on the book? I can't remember. 2022 or 2023?
2022 was the first.
22. Okay, so there you go. So a little over 3 years ago, I put it out. So in some ways, it's like ancient history, like I'm on to other things, you know, in a lot of what I focus on. But in other ways, like I still do workshops all the time. So it's like I keep learning I learn new dimensions about what folks are having. So at this point, I kind of give most of it away and just really try to help inspire people. And so the audiobook, I told you, is free for this month.
Yeah.
And I'm totally open to workshops and stuff. I'm really passionate about helping, especially creative people.
Yeah.
I did get one like vape company that wrote me on my website, and I was like, no, I'm not into that. I don't want to help make more creative vape flavors or something. But what I do want to help is, people who are really especially wrestling with how they can release their own art in the world, especially if they're over the age of 40. You know?
So if they feel like it's there's a really late type thing.
There's too late BS that we buy onto.
Right. It's so total BS.
So you can go to my website and get the free audiobook. And if you hear this much later and you still want it and I've taken it down, just write me and I'll send you a link.
But it's also available on Amazon.
It's also available on Amazon. Yeah. If you really want to help the cause, if you feel inspired, the best thing you can do is review the book on Amazon and give just a paragraph or something. It doesn't have to be a lot. And just say that it helped you and how, and that tends to send the Amazon lords that there's something there. But honestly, I don't make a lot of money from the book. I really mostly do coaching and workshops, and now more and more music type experiences. I play, I do session work for drums. I do sessions. I do, and I put out my own music. I also want to get a song placed in film at some point. That would be a dream of mine, to get even a small film, to just have like a song I wrote to be part of it would be really cool. So
and I need to reach out to you for some drum, for some drums. I may have to hire you.
Let me know.
The drummer, we'll collaborate. I can't drum and I love drums.
They're mic'd all the time, and I have all kinds of crazy percussion stuff. Oh, here.
Nice.
This is I'll be the only guest you have I got this the other day. It's a wooden tambourine.
Oh,
no way.
That's cool.
So you can, and I'm like, so
I like this. I like the sound of that.
Excited about, it's totally different than like a jingle. It's like more percussive. So I'm a geek for life on this stuff. I love making music with all kinds of different tools, software, and also analog things. That
I feel like there's a lot that I could learn from you on the composing and production side. That I'm I just need to pick your brain for a while.
We could always do a session. Yeah, just let me know. I do stuff like that.
You said to do Christy. Well, when I was reading your book, I really saw this as like, wow, this could be such a great group activity, like you did when you, because like you said, when people hear other people share about their experience, then it allows that to waken up. It's like if you're in therapy one-on-one, it's like all of a sudden there's like this veil, like I'm not gonna, but if I hear Chelsea talk about it, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I do that too. It's
we
like
relate.
Walls come down.
We're pack animals. We are. We're not really meant to be the lone wolf people that we sometimes put ourselves.
I hate that phrase. It's such a screwed up phrase.
We're pack animals, and we want to be, in community with one another, and we're stronger together, right? So I think I did have a group for a while running called Doubters Anonymous that
Oh, nice. I
I'm
love
Gen
it.
X. I'm Gen X, so I come up with these sort of sarcastic things, and I think it went for a while, and the people that did it really loved it, but it was really hard to get new folks in, and it was hard to organize. I found, and it wasn't really joyful for me to organize it all and host it all. So I find it's better for now. I like to go in where people already have a community or they have a group, and I think I might like to work with more young folks as well. I think teenagers and especially like young men, I'd say, a lot of young men in this world are trying to figure out how to make sense of this world. Like, what is masculinity supposed to look like? And there's a lot of toxic masculinity. And I think that, I've coached quite a few young people now and helping them kind of come to some of their own terms of what their life's about. And I think I think working in that capacity is really exciting for me. And I want to explore more of that. But I also love working with older folks who are trying to find their muse with music and things. And I have a number of different clients. I have one guy that he started out with me. I'll give him a shout out, Danny. That's all I'll say. Where he started out with me, wanting to someday do karaoke, like maybe in a year from now. And within like 5 weeks, he was doing karaoke.
Yay!
And then I think like 3 months later, he's doing like karaoke contests, as much as I hate that idea, but he's doing, but he's like being invited like to like VIP karaoke sessions. And now he's writing music and I'm helping him. I'm coaching him on like writing music together. So it's like, and this is, he's completely come out of his shell. He's like so vibrant and alive. He's a coach as well. And he does
awesome.
But it's like, that's the sort of thing that just lights me up when I see people, leaning into their own passion and just going with it,
Absolutely. You have a gift, Dave. You have a beautiful
thank you. Yeah. Well, and it's because I've had many people who've helped me, long list. And I think I just feel obligated to give back, and I enjoy giving back, really. It's just,
you can tell just like when we met you in person, like you can just, you can tell the people that are speaking because they want to hear themselves speak versus the people that are like, no, I want to give this, like I would give you all day if I could, type
thank
thing.
You. Oh, that's good.
It's very genuine. So, okay. So you have your website.
Did I blow way past our time limit?
No, we're doing great. We'll probably end up splitting this into 2 parts because we
great. Like, awesome.
And we were hoping that would be the case because we were excited to talk with you.
Yeah.
And like,
good.
Just hear all of the
I'm honored. I think, I'd ask you both too, like, what can I do to help you? And is there anything, I can do to share I'll definitely share this on social media and whatnot, but let me know if there's things that come to you from the book or like examples, or if you're saying, hey, can you clarify this more? Or if
awesome.
If there's anything that comes up, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad it struck a chord with you. I'm glad we met. It's so great.
Great.
And I love your stories as well. Like, I think going to a conference that isn't just for songwriters and like stretching out, it's a great thing we all need to do more of. I think I learned a lot at Production Music Conference. I don't actually technically do production music, but I do make instrumental music. I make some ambient music as well, and I can imagine some places for it at some point. And I think the important thing is, we keep learning and also remembering that we're also masters of our own.
I love that. Endeavors. I'm going to be working really hard on keeping that balance.
Cool.
So you have your website. We have davehilljr.com.
Yeah, it's just all Dave Hill Jr. There's a couple other Dave Hills out there. Yeah, JR, davehilljr.com.
Okay. Where else can they find you on social?
Dave Hill Jr. Music on Instagram. That'd be cool. I'm trying to be more vibrant on Instagram. I post there at least more. I try not to hang out too much on social media because I find it just time sink. Honestly, I have more stuff I want to get done. And
same.
Otherwise, there's so much amazing content and stuff put out there that I feel like I gotta kind of focus. But
I get that.
But people can reach out to me, Dave at davehilljr.com, or you can come to my website, check out what I have. And I'm curious to hear from folks if they have, we didn't do the full naming of self-doubt, but in the workshop, what we do is there is like a part where we name the self-doubt and we try to have a little fun with it, like giving it a creative, clever name or something that's memorable, and to do this work with a light heart. I think that everything I'm talking about, you've been smiling, both of you, a bunch of times. And I think that that's really important part of it. This isn't about, I got self-doubt and it's so depressing. It's like,
Right. That's
like,
true.
it's
I
like,
didn't think about that.
it can be, yeah, you know, if we go, you know, but I think hopefully we do this work when we're ready to do this work, and we're feeling strong enough to do this work, because there are people who are just overwhelmed. And if you're dealing with clinical depression, or you're dealing with something that's too big, it's like, it's not time probably to say, okay, now let me tackle my self-doubt. It's like, probably there's some just nurturing. I talk about like building self-esteem in the book. Sometimes we just have to like learn to love ourselves a little bit. There's already like a start, and then we can eventually get to a place where we're now feeling more confident. But if your self-esteem is taken a hit from whatever you've experienced, or your life situation or whatever, that's first, you know, and then this is like next stages of you know, trying to grow with the way you want to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. And
you bet. Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Hopefully we may even have you back again in the future.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, cool.
We'd love that.
Or maybe I can interview you both or something.
We're all for it.
Okay, yeah. How to do a podcast.
Yeah,
2025. Yeah, it's growing, so it's good. Keep going. That's awesome.
Well,
thanks everybody.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to everybody. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Dave Hill Jr., thank you so much.
Yes.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening to The Creative Download, hosted and produced by Christy Bruneau and Chelsea Nettleton. Edited by Chelsea Nettleton.